Good evening and welcome. My name is Taylor Kingman. As president of the Board of Trustees of the San Angelo Independent School District, I would like to welcome all of you who are present at tonight's regular board meeting. I also welcome those of you who are watching the recording of this meeting online or on our public access channel. We appreciate your interest in the activities of our students and the business of SAISD. All items that will be discussed at our meeting this evening have been posted as required by state law. Also, as you may be aware, our board meets a minimum of 2 times per month, and most, if not all, the items on our agenda this evening have been previously discussed at our pre-agenda board workshop. As members of the SAISD Board of Trustees, we are here to set goals, listen to reports from our superintendent, approve budgets, contracts, and personnel appointments, and to make policy for the district. Please keep in mind that our meeting is a meeting of the Board of Trustees held in public and not a meeting of the public. However, we have a public comment item on every one of our meeting agendas that allows anyone present who wishes to speak to our board team on an item not on our action agenda or an action item on the agenda an opportunity to do so. Please provide your name and contact information and the specific topic you wish to address on a public comment form located at the back of the room, should you want to speak on an issue not on our action agenda. Please listen carefully and comply with the following rules so we can move through that part of the meeting efficiently. Each speaker will be given a total of 3 minutes. The district will provide an official timekeeper. Please respect the privacy of others and refrain from identifying students, employees, or other community members by name. Disruption of the meeting will not be tolerated at any time. Comments on any subject, whether positive or negative, must be courteous and respectful. Comments are limited to the specific topic you indicated on the form you filled out. Any speaker with a specific complaint about a district employee, decision, or operational issue should present that through the appropriate mechanism, which is the district's formal grievance process. If you have a pending grievance, please remember that you're not permitted to speak about the grievance during public comment. Also, please understand if you speak to us on an item not on our action agenda, that the board cannot reply to you except to thank you for your comments since the matter has not been posted for discussion. In compliance with state law, these proceedings are recorded and will become part of SAISD's permanent legal record. In order that the recording will adequately reflect the proceedings, I ask that you please refrain from talking while others are speaking. I also ask, as I remind my fellow board members, to please turn off or silence your cell phones. Again, thank you for being here and for your support of SAISD. We do have a quorum this evening. Our entire board team is present. And with that, I'm going to ask Brady Chant, who's the youth minister at Johnson Street Church of Christ, to help us with our invocation.
Please pray with me. Dear God, we thank you for the beautiful day that you've blessed us with. God, I want to say a special prayer over this meeting. God, may you be in the midst of it. May you be working through it. God, and as we start up a new school year, God, I pray for the students, the teachers, the administration, everybody that's going to be working in and around our schools. God, I pray a special prayer of peace over them. God, as our students walk the halls at each and every school, may you bring safety. May you allow them to increase in knowledge and in wisdom. And God, may the actions of this board and each and every teacher, each and every admin, God, may their actions lead our students closer to you. God, excuse me. Lead us to those that you lead us to those that need you the most. May our actions, again, God, bring students, teachers, and admin closer to you. May our students be able to see you in each and every one of us. May your will be done in this meeting. May your will be done at each and every school, through each and every teacher. May you be glorified in the actions and decisions made in this meeting. Thank you for the love that you show us day in and day out. God, we thank you for waking us up this morning because we know you didn't have to. Most of all, God, we thank you for Jesus. It's in his name that we pray. Amen.
All right. Now we have some fifth graders from Fort Concho Elementary. We have Augustin Garcia, Ellie Myers, Danica Lambrana, and Landon Thompson, and they're going to come up here and help us with the pledges of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
Wait, y'all gotta stay for a picture. All right, now we're going to move forward with our recognitions. And first up is recognition of the San Angelo Kiwanis Club. And Dr. Gomez is going to do that for us.
Dr. Kingman, Dr. Moran, and members of the board, this evening we begin our recognitions with the Kiwanis Club. At this time, if Ruth Wilde, Kiwanis president, and Charlie Hafer, Kiwanis board member, and Mrs. Monica Porras, SAISD, Director of Health Services, if you would please join. To start off, we'll first provide some background as the Kiwanis supports SAISD in a variety of ways. This evening, they are here specifically for House Bill 549, airway clearance devices. This House bill requires one airway device at the primary location that students consume food. The location is determined by our campus principals and administration, but they should be where the majority of food is consumed. And one campus or district employee must be trained on how to use the device. The Kiwanis Club is donating $3,700 for the purchase of these devices. Furthermore, it's important for those here in person and those watching to know what all the Kiwanis Club does. Kiwanis is a global organization of volunteers who work to improve communities and help children. They strive to be a positive influence in our communities so that one day all children will wake up in communities that believe in them, nurture them, and provide the support needed to thrive, I don't know if you all know this, but I know y'all know about Little Olympics. Probably everybody in here knows about Little Olympics. This is the group for over 80 years has worked to bring Little Olympics here to the Concho Valley. And that's how they're able to help provide the funds for these airway devices. And that aligns perfectly with our mission. So this evening, we thank Ruth, Charlie, and Monica for their leadership and support of all of our children. Dr. Moran, we do have a certificate of appreciation on behalf of the district, if you would present this to Kiwanis. All right, if you all would join me for one round of applause for the Kiwanis Club. Thank you.
Okay, our next recognition is for San Angelo Reads, and it's our summer book patrol partners, and Soon Child's going to help us with that.
Good evening, Dr. Kingman, Dr. Moran, and members of the board. Tonight, we have 3 recognitions where we pause to express our heartfelt gratitude to some of our incredible community partners. First, we are honored to recognize an outstanding supporter of public education and literacy, HEB. Thanks to HEB's generosity, 21 students and their 41 siblings all received books and bags of goodies through our San Angelo Reads Summer Book Patrol, giving away a total of 160 books. HEB's support helped us spark a love of reading and gave students an opportunity to engage with literacy in meaningful and impactful ways. Your contributions made students feel special and connected to our schools, even during the summer months. For those who weren't able to attend a delivery, the joy on the children's faces, it just said it all. HEB Community Coordinator Odessa Schmid and HE Buddy joined us for several deliveries, and you can imagine the excitement when the students saw HE Buddy in person. HE Buddy's generosity, HEB's generosity, and HE Buddy. Energy and dedication truly elevated this program, and for that we are deeply grateful. As I call your name, we invite you to come forward for a group photo with Dr. Moran. Tonight, on behalf of the awesome HEB team, we have joining us Joshua Jones, top store leader for our newest HEB, Callie Lewis, center store leader for our original HEB, Odessa Schmid, community coordinator, and a former San Angelo ISD teacher. Please join me in giving HEB a very appreciative round of applause on behalf of our board members, admin, and SAISD. Oh, and by the way, HEB was also part of the next two events where we're going to be recognizing as well. Thank you. Okay.
Next one, Sue.
Our second recognition tonight celebrates the incredible community partners who made the second annual San Angelo Reads and United We Read Back to School pop-up such a success. On August 1st, hundreds of children and families joined us at the CRC Roofers Coliseum to receive thousands of books, backpacks, school supplies, and resources to prepare for the new school year. There were more than 90 local businesses and organizations who came together to make this possible, and their generosity touched every family who attended. This year's pop-up drew the largest crowd in San Angelo Reads history. We had more than 1,150 attendees in just the first hour alone, and after that we stopped counting. This year's event was especially meaningful, coming right after the July 4th flooding, and our partners provided not only resources, but hope and encouragement and a reminder of the strength of this community for families in a challenging time. Our community partners are the heartbeat of this event. If you'll direct your attention to the monitors, I know it's really small because there are so many of them. Tonight we joined together to say thank you for your dedication, your generosity, and your commitment to the students and families of San Angelo. Please join me in recognizing these incredible partners. Okay, last one. Finally, it's with sincere appreciation that we now recognize our community partners involved in the success of our 6th annual New to the SAISD Team Tailgate, held on July 29th at San Angelo Stadium. This tailgate-style celebration welcomed more than 100 new professionals to our district, kicking off 3 days of professional learning, support, and development. The event was a true community effort. SAISD campuses and departments all came out to cheer on their new team members, and more than 50 local businesses and organizations joined us to show their support and extend a warm San Angelo welcome. The event is more than a welcome. It is, as Dr. Gomez put it, a showering of blessings from our community. It reflects the heart of San Angelo, a place where educators are not only embraced and celebrated, but reminded from day one that they are joining a community deeply invested in their success. And if you'll direct your attentions to the monitor again, those are our amazing community partners with the tailgate. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Chow. All right, next on our agenda, we have public comment, and we're going to start with Ms. Linda Martin, and the topic is books.
I know several of you, I've visited with you, some of you at different times about the books in the school. And I was a professional photographer for 30 years. I photograph children, families, weddings, and so I've been around, and I was an aunt by the time I was 10. So I've been around children all my life. And when it came to finding out that there were certain books in the school system, I was beside myself. You have a purple envelope. I always heard create a purple snowflake and they will remember you. So I'm a little flaky. That's okay. God made me that way. But my heart is with the children. In your packet, you are going to find a personal letter from me, a note. You will also find the rating system for the books that we're going to, I'm just going to talk about them briefly. There's a list of books that are on that list that would have been challenged throughout the state, and not just here, but other places as well. There are 10 books, 10 or 11 books, I can't remember which, because I updated the list this morning, that our Texas penal system will not allow prisoners to read because they are so sexually explicit. So I'm hoping and praying that as you go through the process tonight, that you will keep this in your mind and in your heart, that our children, as you know, are the most valuable asset we have as a country and as human beings. The last list that you will find is a list of harms, studies that are done that pornography does for our children, on our children. I have 7 books that we have printouts on, thank goodness to my husband. He's so sweet. He is my hero. I would challenge each one of you to choose one of these books to read the excerpts from, and tell me if this is something that you would want your child or your grandchild to read, because these are in our school libraries. Thank you for having removed a bunch of these books already. There's a lot more work to do, and when I saw this morning that you were going to be talking about this evening, I thought this is the time. This is the time to hand it off. SB 13 tells you what you need to do. May I have 2 more seconds? If you will pray as you go about this, and one more thing.
Thank you, Ms. Martin. We're going to keep going. We appreciate everything you're doing.
Remember, God whispers to ordinary people to do extraordinary things.
Thank you, Ms. Martin.
Extraordinary people.
Next, we have Ms. Sarah Alexander, and the topic is Lakeview. Thank you.
I'd like to thank the board, I'd like to begin by thanking the board for allowing us to speak today. At this point, we know why we're here. You've seen the post, you've seen the articles, and you've responded to the media. At Lakeview, kids are locked down in an overcrowded school that doesn't have the infrastructure to feed that many kids. Despite your official response to the media, children are indeed going hungry, and it is a lie to say that they are not. On August 5th, Lakeview parents received a message stating, "We are working to fully secure our high school campuses, Lakeview and Central, by transitioning them to closed campuses." This clearly says both schools, but didn't mention that it would be another 2 years for Central. On August 9th, we got a notice mentioning an upgraded patio. I personally emailed all of you to ask the numbers from the fire marshal to ensure we were following code. The superintendent replied and quoted numbers for the other school, but when pressed for those same numbers for Lakeview, didn't know and made me file a public information request. That alone shows where priorities lie. The inequalities between high schools are obvious. Our kids are locked down like prisoners, but at least prisoners are guaranteed meals. Kids at Lakeview aren't. The other school continues to have an open campus, despite being the campus with major wrecks and violence and lunch, including like a stabbing incident. They are not locked down. They can leave. Our kids didn't commit these acts, yet they're the ones being punished. We ask that you reconsider closed campus lunch. Here are a few ideas. Restore open campus lunch for juniors and seniors at minimum, and bring back school-approved food trucks or outside vendors in the secure patio area currently being utilized. Open campus lunch would eliminate the overcrowding and allow the cafeteria to prioritize students who genuinely need the free and reduced lunch program. We are preparing the next generation of employable adults, and as such, they need to learn how to navigate breaks. By closing campus, they've been robbed of an important learning opportunity. If you insist upon closed campus, wait until both schools can have the proper infrastructure in place and close them both together. We know what we are up against. Our kids are seen as dollar signs on a spreadsheet. We know the reputation that Lakeview parents don't show up, and it may have been true before, but it's not now. We're here, and we are not going anywhere. In fact, we are united and are preparing a walkout if conditions do not improve. You must ensure that every child has the opportunity to eat, or they simply won't be available to be a number on that spreadsheet you need for funding. Board members, you were chosen by the people. We showed up at the polls for you. It's your time to show up for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Alexander. Next, we have Ms. Regina Torres, and also on Lakeview Lunch.
Ditto. For real. Because I'm not here to talk about how much food was or was not available to the students. I'm here to demand that the San Angelo ISD quit treating Lakeview like the redheaded stepchild. And I realize there is a plan to stop Central students from being able to leave the campus also. But until that plan is implemented, students from both campuses should be treated equally. Those of us that live on the north side work just as hard, live just as much, and pay our taxes, and we want our children to be treated the same.
Thank you, Mrs. Torres. Next, we have Mr. Virgil Passetti, and this is on leadership, goals, and communication.
My name is Virgil Passetti, concerned father. As you know, most of these people here today are here about the Lakeview lunch. When it comes to leadership, I know that when our superintendent first came here, he said the first thing he wanted to do was close those campuses. And he also wanted to redo the ICs. And so if you think he's going to go back on what he's done, I wouldn't count on it, because he's not going to back down. So if y'all really want it, you're going to have to do it. As far as communication, the parents said, hey, we think there's a problem. We think it's overcrowded. And so what did they tell you? That the fire marshal said, well, we can put 520 kids in that cafeteria. As we sit here today, I just counted it. We got 90 chairs in here. And what does that sign say right back there? Occupancy of 300. So can 300 kids eat in here? So why would, instead of telling the parents how many chairs are available, you do the old switcheroo with your $500,000 communication department, and you tell them, well, we have 520 spots and 270 out here. We're giving you all the room in the world. Y'all should be thankful. But just like right here, I don't see 300 chairs. I can't imagine 300 kids trying to eat in here. And I guess just like at Lakeview, what we do? Let them eat on the stairwells? That's sanitary. Let them eat in the hallways? That's sanitary. And then what are we going to do when, everybody says in Texas there's 2 weeks of good weather? What are you going to do when it's cold? When it's raining? Everybody that's ever been to Lakeview knows on that patio there's a thing called the Lakeview vortex. That wind comes around the corner, and there goes your tray. But hey, 270 kids can sit out there. It's time for y'all to quit defending this guy and come and defend us. I know he has an agenda. He's only been here a year and a half. We have been here our whole lives. Don't let some stranger come in here and tell us how we need to do it. Let us tell you how we want to do it. For once, listen to these people. Quit giving us the cold shoulder and quit giving us the communication department telling us, oh, it was a one-time thing. We ran out of chicken, but everybody left the line, so there really wasn't a problem. Well, that's what kids do when the bell rings. So the first thing you have to do is admit there's a problem, because without that, there's never a solution. So for once, admit there's a problem and come out and talk to these people and tell them what you're going to do about it.
Thank you, Mr. Passetti. Next, we have Miss Ashley Saldivar, and the topic is Lakeview. It just says Lakeview.
Hello, board and fellow parents. My name is Ashley Saldivar. I am here as a mother to speak about issues and concerns that have been taking place at our Lakeview campus. As early as Tuesday last week, we have reports of children going without eating or not being able to eat a whole meal due to time. On Wednesday, it was confirmed that quite a few students were only served mashed potatoes, while others went without because there wasn't enough prepared to eat within the allotted lunchtime period. This is not only disturbing, but disheartening to hear. It is not acceptable for any child to go without a meal or an opportunity to eat. Our children shouldn't have to choose or be late to class, then be reprimanded for it over lunch. We as parents would not ever think that this would be an issue in our schools. Just as you and I, our children need food to nourish their bodies and supply energy, not only to get through the day, but to focus and retain what they're learning daily. Additionally, our athletes need sufficient food to fuel their bodies as they are put through tough physical demands in the extreme heat during practices to win those games you all show up and cheer at. We've been hearing since day one concerns with overcrowding. Children, including my own, have been made to sit on the floor in the hallways, in the libraries, or in the heat outside at the tables and chairs provided with no direct shade. Bathroom breaks have become a major concern this year. I myself have a child who has medical concerns that require him to use the bathroom every hour by his primary care provider and other specialists who follow his case. Being only allowed to use the restroom during passing time, possibly 6 to 8 minutes or 10 minutes prior to the bell ringing, one at a time, is not enough. My son has several doctor's notes that can cover him, hopefully, to be able to use the restroom when it's needed. But it shouldn't take a doctor's note to gain access to something that was put in the schools for a reason. We've all been taught that holding it is not good for our bodies, so why should our children have to? There are other efficient ways we can come up with to keep our kids safe, fed, and stay on top of their education. Better organized lunch lines and time, proper access to food, sufficient time to eat and use the bathroom, better bathroom protocols overall. The list can go on. There are concerns that we have as adults for our children. There are concerns that we would have for adults as adults, because I myself would not be okay with this if this was happening to me. A paragraph from your mission, vision, and goal statement on your website. We believe all students learn best in a safe, supportive, and secure environment. We will provide facilities management for the safety of students and staff. We will ensure that learning and work environments are stable. As of right now, everything that is drawing concern to this year's school year does not meet those guidelines. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Saldivar. Just to confirm, the next is a Miss Amber Allenbar, and I think she wants to not speak. Okay. Then the next is Gregory A., and he's here to talk about Lakeview lunches.
My name's Greg Air. I'm not from this town, but I'm from Wichita Falls. And the way you are treating Lakeview was the same way Hirsch was treated. And you guys can't go on doing right. I'm not going to reiterate what they said. I'm going to reiterate, you've ruined 1 week of my daughter's senior year. And if this is, I'm glad she's graduating this year so we can leave. That's wrong. And these parents have more kids coming up. And if you're going to treat them the same, I'd go somewhere else too. That's all I'm going to say to you guys.
Thank you. The next is Kayla Vila, and hers is regarding Lakeview lunches.
Hello, I am a senior this year at Lakeview High School. As a kid at Lakeview High School, I am involved in extra activities. And with being in these extra activities, I go on hours of not eating due to the closed campus, lunch lines being too long, and not food being prepared for me to eat. Due to this, not getting enough nutrition is seen. And due to this, I experience getting lightheaded, feeling nauseous, feeling like I'm going to pass out at my extra activities because I'm not eating. And also being in the crowded space during our lunch, it sends my anxiety into a spiral because I do not do good in closed spaces. And again, this is my senior year. I've looked up to this year all my life, well, all my school years. This is supposed to be the best year for me. And I've never had this problem before. I've never felt like I was going to pass out. I've never felt like my school didn't care for me and not wanting me to eat, because that's what it feels like. And all I'm asking is to be treated the same way as Central kids are. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Vila. We are going to move forward with our agenda and try to work in a way to respond to y'all in a proper way that isn't posted. So let me work on that. So know that we're trying to figure out how to do that. So give me a second while we keep moving forward with our agenda. Next, moving forward, we're going to talk about our public meeting. And when we are trying to respond to this, remember that we will keep this meeting in order, and we're not going to do it that way. Okay? So next will be Dr. Brandon's going to come up to talk about the public meeting to discuss the proposed 25-26 budget and tax rate.
Dr. Kingman, Dr. Moran, Board of Trustees, for our public meeting tonight on budget and tax rate discussion. So at the end of the discussion, later in the meeting, then we'll approve the 25-26 budget by fund and function, and also set the tax rate for the 25-26 school year. We've talked about where our local revenue comes from through property values, and then also from the state revenue, funding formulas, average daily attendance, and then we have different things such as career and technology, special programs, and then the enrichment golden pennies that were added, and then the legislature. We'll talk a little bit about what House Bill 2 did and the legislative increases for teacher raises. When we think about property values, that's where the budgeting process starts on the side of state and local revenue. For example, you see the red arrow, our tax values for this next year is set at $6.9 billion. If we compare that to you can see here on the second page, this is the 140,000 to the 200,000 homestead exemption. This is an increase from last year's 100,000 homestead exemption, so certainly a benefit to our taxpayers, our community members. And then just as an example, because we'll talk a little bit about hold harmless, this is what the tax base would have been with just the $100,000 homestead exemption, $7.4 billion. So we see a $500 million loss in the increase in homestead exemption, but that's a good thing. In this situation, the state is a hold harmless, and that's less that our taxpayers have to pay. This gives you an idea of what our property values have done over about the last 7 years, growing from $5.3 billion all the way to $9 billion, and then the homestead exemption increased. And then we've seen that again in the next legislative cycle, a homestead exemption increase again, which has kept those property values lower, but at the same time, very hopeful to our taxpayers. Here you can see where we start the general revenue. The budget starts with what monies are going to come in and then what are our expenses. So when we look at the general revenue forecast compared last year to this year, very similar. As you look down through there, interest income will be less. Interest earnings, the money that was spent in capital outlay, Fannin and McGill, both those elementaries, paid for out of fund balance. Was a drop there, but then a little less interest income. But when we work our way down, you see in the white section, state funding, a considerable increase in the foundation school program, and then federal funding is nearly the same, all the way down to $138 million for the yearly budget, and you see that that's an increase of $5.7 million over last year. Now, if we consider House Bill 2, the legislative session, the increase in teacher pay, those raises, and then raises for any other instructional staff, the requirement we see was additional $6 million in new money, which is very close to the $5.7 million that we're showing as an increase in the budget. Slightly less than that $6.2 million because of the interest earnings. So we take the $138 million from projected revenue from local, state, and federal, and that goes straight into the beginning of what is the budget for the year. So our available revenue is exactly that, and then we put together payroll, contracted services, supplies and materials, and miscellaneous operating. We talked 2 weeks ago, would commend HR, the district as a whole, as we have seen a decline in student membership. We've also tried to mimic that same decline in staffing. So as the student membership has declined, we've had lower birth rates, then that 1.5, 1.6% is also shown in staffing. If we look at the SAISD compensation considerations under House Bill 2, you can see that 4.4 million in green under House Bill 2 were directly to teacher raises. Those that were non-instructional teachers, those raises, and then 3- and 4-year teachers, and then 5+. And then the 12% for benefits had to come out of that same money from the state, from legislation. And then you can see the TASB salary study, trying to make sure that our school district is holding on to electricians, plumbers, carpenters, those individuals that we need, making sure that our salaries are market adjusted for those around us. Once we get to those compensation considerations, that number you see at the very bottom, the 112 million, is directly taken up into payroll. A positive for the district, you'll see a lot of districts are at 86, 87% of their budget goes straight to payroll. We've been fortunate that we've been able to keep those costs down at 81%. And then at the end, you see a balanced budget with zero expenses coming the same amount as revenues. When we look at the budget at the end of the meeting to approve, you see that the official general budget, you see that same number again, carried forward, the 138 million, and then all of the expenditures in the district divided by function. And then if we look all the way down, then again, the zero for the balanced budget. We have child nutrition showing a slight decrease, a little bit of expenditures. They do have the fund balance to carry that forward. We know from the state that they want that fund balance to remain in a good state. I think that was about $2 million, and so they've been able to provide new serving lines for the students at different campuses, and so we've been able to spend that down. And then you see just a small deficit of $327,000, and then we have the debt service fund that's also approved this evening, and then it shows exactly what we expect from local, and then the state, and then that's where you see the hold harmless. That $3.3 million from the state funding is a hold harmless amount for the $500 million drop in homestead exemption. And once we get to the very bottom, then the money that comes in for the bond will be paid through those local and state monies. Where we generate the INS rate, the interest in sinking to pay back the bond, comes straight from this chart. You see that the $397 million in the Series 2025 bond issuance generates a 35.84 cent increase in the interest in sinking fund. And then you can see where that runs through all of the years. We carry that forward and find that we have the local INS taxes at $25 million, adding the state value, the state taxes of 3.3 hold harmless for the $28 million bond payment. If we look at the historical maintenance and operation tax rate, the things that the money that we use mostly for salaries, but for tires for the buses, all the things that we do in the district for maintenance and operations, you see 71 cents. You can see that has dropped considerably over the last 7 or 8 years, 30 cents or more, where it was $1.04 back in 17 and 18. You'll see an increase in INS with the passage of the bond. And then if we compare those two together, which makes up our total tax rate, you still see a drop over years past, 7 or 8 years back, when that tax rate was in the $1.20s, and then the proposed tax rate this year at $1.07. Here's we have it divided out between M&O and INS. The tax rate proposal being 71 cents, M&O 35.84 for the INS, for a total tax rate of $7.06. We do have the tax calculation worksheet that is calculated from the CAD. And so you'll see here one of the main numbers that comes out of that 7 or 8 page document is the voter approval tax rate at $1.08. So that's the highest rate that could be is the voter approval tax rate, which is $1.08. And you see that our tax rate is going to be at $1.07. We have the notice of public meeting to discuss, and then that gives our values. You see again where the red arrow is, a drop here in total appraised value of all new property, and then taxable value of all property, a drop from 7.5 billion to 7.2. And then this one you have to kind of study a little bit. I mean, it shows a decrease of $25 for the average taxpayer. If you look at last year's values, you see that the average market value was $219,000. there's a slight increase in this year's average home value at $230,000. But when you look at the, because of the homestead exemption going from $100,000 to $140,000, all the way to $200,000, age 65 and older, then you actually see that the taxes due on the average residence is dropping because of that. So you do see a higher tax rate given the passage of the bond, but at the same time, many of our taxpayers are actually going to see a lower rate than they had last year because of the homestead exemption. Here again is the tax rate for 25-26, the recommendation. Any questions?
Thank you, Dr. Brandon. I know we talked about this at our pre-agenda, and this is just the public meeting of that, so we will go ahead and move forward with the ability to go into voting on that later this evening. So thank you. Next, we're going to conduct our Finance and Audit Committee workshop, and I'm going to turn that over to Mr. Dindal. Just as a reminder to the board, with the change in the open meetings posting laws with the new state legislature, we'll be doing our July financials at our regular meeting and approving them at our regular meeting as well, because we can't get them posted for the pre-agenda. So we're moving our Finance and Audit Committee workshop to our regular board meeting, and so we will approve both our June and July later this evening. So, Mr. Dindal.
Thank you, Dr. Keenan. We'll start on page 11 is the start of the July finance audit reports. If you want to reference page 14, it shows our current restricted fund balance of $4.7 million, while our current unrestricted fund balance is currently $52.9 million moving forward. We'll allocate some of that later on today in a separate motion. Any questions about that? If not, we'll move to page 17, which shows our general fund revenues and expenses at this point. We're in the 11th month of our budget cycle, so we should be around 92% of our budget. Our budget actually ends at the end of August. So it should be around 92%. Right now we're at 89% of revenues, 89.5% of expenses. Not unusual. We use that little cushion there to start the beginning of the year with some extra expenses that we incur in this last month of our budget process. Also, August startup expenses again make up that little expense difference, so it makes us whole in our 100% budget as we move forward, usually pretty close to that. Some questions from the board about that? We can move to page 18 through 36, which are all the entries in our district checkbook. They've been in our hands for a day or two. I'm not sure if anybody has any questions about any of those checks. If not, we can move to page 37 through 41, which is our July monthly investment report. Interest earned in July was approximately $251,000, with interest rates varying between 4.3 and 4.56%. So moving forward, page 42 is our tax collection report. 2024 collections are at 98.4%, while 2023 collections are at 99.44%, and that usually that 2024, as the year moves forward, it'll get closer to 100% as we move forward. With that concludes all the reports we see in this finance report for July. I'll turn it back over to you, Dr. King.
Thank you. And so now we're going to move forward with our information items. I'm going to take a little privilege and move Dr. Gomez with an update on academic programs up, and then we're going to talk about academics and global picture.
Dr. Kingman, Dr. Moran, and members of the board, as you are well aware, the Texas A through F accountability ratings for both the 24-25 and the 23-24 school year were released on August 15th. Both sets of ratings were released at the same time due to legal challenges that delayed the 23-24 scores. Now that those scores are out publicly, it's important to have an overview of the accountability system. So in front of you and on the screens for those in the audience, Texas evaluates schools and districts using 3 required domains. Domain 1 is student achievement. Domain 2, school progress. And this domain includes 2 parts, academic growth and relative performance. And domain 3, closing the gaps. So as we move to domain 1 specifically, this domain is different based on the level for the students. So student achievement for elementary and middle school is based entirely on STAR test performance. For high schools and campuses that are K-12, which we do not have in SAISD, this domain includes STAR results, 40%, graduation rates, 20%, and then college, career, and military readiness, or it's referred to as CCMR, for 40%. So then, not to get into the math behind this, they take those and create an overall scaled score for that domain. Then in domain 2 for school progress, as I told you, there's 2 parts. So part A is on academic growth. You quite frequently hear the district talk about the growth for every individual child wherever they enter our school system. So this part measures the percentage of students who've demonstrated at least 1 year of growth on STAR year over year, including accelerated learning gains and bonus points. Please note that there are certain grade levels where this is not applicable. For example, 3rd grade is the first time a student takes the test, so there can be no growth measure. Then part B, relative performance. This area of the domain compares comparable schools with each individual school. So there's a list with similar low socioeconomic or socioeconomic statuses. They call them comparable schools based on the makeup at each individual school. What's important to note in this domain, it's the higher of part A or part B that becomes the school's progress score for the domain. Then domain 3 is closing the gaps. This is especially important in public schools where we work to meet every individual child regardless of their needs. This is where special subpopulations come into play, such as the racial and ethnic groups of students, English learners, so bilingual, ESL, special education, economically disadvantaged. That's to provide equity across all students. So I want to point out, specific to closing the gaps for San Angelo ISD, repeatedly you've heard us talk about the big rocks for special education and bilingual and ESL students. Those are 2 special subpopulations that the district continues to target. And this is where it's especially important in the accountability system. So between those 3 domains, for the overall score, the scores that were released on the 15th that you all received, this is how you have the final composition. It's the higher of domain 1 or domain 2, and that's 70% of the weight. Then closing the gaps, that federal indicator, is 30%. Now please note, there is a penalty if a campus or a district underperforms in domains, meaning you can't perform really high in one and receive an inflated score. That's referred to as the 3 Fs or the 3 Ds rules. And the reason why that is in place is to emphasize consistent performance across the domains. So that was just an overview again, because when people hear A through F, someone can pull out one of the 3 domains, but you have to understand how that final composition is used to calculate the scores. So some highlights in the 2 years of scores the district received. The district did have an increase in the number of A campuses, a decrease in the number of D and F campuses. Want to highlight some specific campuses for their leadership, and most importantly for the teachers in the classrooms that are working to grow students every day. Specifically, for the 24-25 scores, Bowie moved from an overall rating of an F to a C, specifically 58 to a 75 in growth. Crockett from an F to a C, specifically from a 59 to a 74 in growth. That's knowing individual students and really honing in on your instruction. Glenmore from a C to an A, specifically a 62 to a 91 in growth. San Jacinto from a D to a B, a 78 to an 82, specifically in growth. As you all are aware, leadership at San Jacinto has moved to Bel Air and are implementing the same instructional practices on that campus. Glenn remained at the same overall rating for the 2 years, but it's important to note their growth from a 69 to a 76 in growth. Also, for consolidations, you are aware that McGill consolidated with Austin and Fannin consolidated with Altaloma. So when you look especially at closing the gaps and the change in the demographics for those campuses, we did see that in the accountability rating and have plans to address those. Our two hardest areas in the district to hire and retain teachers are in the area of special education and bilingual. So we continue to see needed support in those areas, specifically in closing the gaps. We also continue to work with specific campuses on targeted improvement plans to specialize the professional learning and, most importantly, the daily coaching of our teachers so they can meet the needs of their students. So while we have progress to celebrate, we acknowledge we have continued work to do at individual campuses, and we're continuing on the intentional focus for professional learning, but more importantly, the ongoing work that happens weekly in our campuses with professional learning communities, because more minds are greater than one, especially in the area of teaching. So that's just a general overview. Can I answer any questions?
So, Dr. West, thank you, and thank you for the work that you're doing in our academics. Obviously, as part of this board, and serving as board president, I know that the goals of this board and this administrative team and your team is to make sure our academics improve. And as we look at every decision that has been made over the last summer and in our secondaries, the attempt was to make the right decision based on academics and where those, how we could help any of our secondary campuses improve in our academics. That being said, I think although I know the board team's hearts and their goals to serve every member of the community, no matter what side of town they live on, okay? The reality is our goal is to make sure we try to make the right decision, and then when the next decision is up, we try and make the right decision again. And obviously what I'm saying is that we have decisions in front of us, and we're going to look to make the right decisions. And that doesn't necessarily mean everyone will like all those decisions, because we are going to work to improve our academics, but it does mean that the heart of the people serving on this board and in this administrative team are going to work to make sure that we listen to all entities that are talking to us and make sure that we keep the focus on where the goals where they need to be as a district, but also make sure that we look to make the right decision. So, no, ma'am, I'm sorry, you can't. I'm sorry, it's an open meetings act, and we got to follow the rules, and so I apologize. And so I can't, and so we'll have a public. That's what the public comment is for at the beginning of the meeting. So I apologize. That's just how the laws are set up. So,
Mr. President, I have a comment or two if I can.
Yes.
And really just for the board's sake and feedback, when we talk about academic performance and we look at what we're trying to do as a district, the things that we've used as a mantra really are protect instructional time and let's increase the rigor in the classroom. And that flows into a lot of different conversations. When you talk about increasing the rigor, we all want, and I have children, we all have children in the school, we want the very best for those.
So what I would like to remind everyone is that meetings go a lot better if we just respond and keep the meeting running the way it's supposed to, and understand you're being heard. But if you don't let the meeting happen, then it's impossible to get heard.
So when we talk about increasing the rigor, we're talking about making sure we've got a really great teacher in front of every kid. This year we started the year with 29 classrooms without a certified teacher that was qualified to be in the classroom. And thank goodness for our rehired teachers, because they've stepped up and really helped us, and for great substitutes. We're thankful for them as well. But the reality is, when you don't have a quality teacher that is trained in the curriculum that we're using to implement, it's just not the same. And so the struggle we begin with this year is, as we did last year, and as most districts in the state are struggling with, is finding quality teachers to put in front of kids. As you know, some of our campuses are very small. You'll be getting those numbers as we continue to get enrollment in, and we're going to be talking to the board in September about enrollment. But we have a number of elementary schools with less than 400 kids, and the classrooms are not full. Some have 16, 17 kids and 6 or 7 empty seats. And we're thankful that we have good teachers, but we have a lot of classrooms without the kind of teachers we want. So that's one of the reasons we've been talking about consolidation, and that's one of the reasons that the district has moved that direction, and will continue to move that direction, frankly, because of the declining enrollment that we're seeing in our district. And so that's going to require us to make very difficult decisions, and decisions as a board that we're going to have to discuss, and we'll be talking this fall more in depth about what we need to do to prepare for that. But it's all about making sure we've got a great teacher in front of kids. And so that's the first thing. The second thing is, we take our job seriously about providing a safe environment for kids. And safety is a concern of mine in our district. It's not unusual, especially at the high school level, and in years past, it's not unusual for the public to be on the campus and kids interacting with public without the knowledge of an adult or a school official. And that's one of the reasons that the state has taken school safety so seriously, requiring 8-foot fencing, requiring an SRO at every campus, requiring upgraded this year ballistic shields and a breaching tool. We will spend $50,000 this year out of our budget because the state requires us to have a ballistic shield and a breaching tool at every campus. Times are different. And so when we talk about academics, I think I just want the board to hear me say that it's a deeper discussion than just what we're teaching and how we're teaching it. For instance, House Bill 1481, the electronic communications ban, the state recognized what a harmful thing electronic communications at school is for kids, and what a distraction it is, and what an interruption it is for our academics. We're very thankful our high school campuses are both rated a C this year. But when you dig deeper in the data, both campuses scored an F for academic achievement. And that's unacceptable. And I own that. You all hired me to do a job to increase academics and academic performance. And so it's a serious matter to me to keep our kids safe and to step up the rigor of our academic game. And so I say all that to say, and maybe this is the appropriate time to say to the board, the reason difficult decisions are being made is because we sense the urgency to move our district ahead and in the right direction we're doing our kids a disservice. And I've said this from the day you hired me. We're doing them a disservice by having open campus at secondary. They're losing instructional time, and our instructional day needs to be preserved. Now, I would love to have closed Central and Lakeview this year.
Again, I want to remind y'all, please let the meeting happen, or you'll have to leave the meeting.
And I think of it like this. My wife and I have 4 kids, and if 2 of my kids are ill and I've got medicine for one, I'm not going to withhold that medicine until I have medicine for the second.
You're not going to starve them either while they wait for the medicine.
If you can't be a part of the meeting, I'm going to please ask you to leave. Anyone who wants to continue to interrupt, if they could please leave right now.
My kids won't be going back. And I already got 2 in homeschool, and you're fixing to find out how many kids are going to stop going to your crap. Miss out on that money. Where the hell do I go?
If anyone else would like to leave so that we can continue our meeting, please go ahead and leave right now.
So to my point, the rationale is, why would we withhold the medication from one child when we have it to give? Lakeview's going to find themselves at an advantage because they will have a protected instructional day. They will have kids eating healthier at lunch. And they will have less disruptions. I wish I could do the same for Central. But that's not possible. With a cafeteria that seats under 400 and they've got almost 3,000 kids on campus, there's no way to logistically do that. I'm thankful for the bond. That's going to create an environment where we can do that, and we will do that as soon as possible. But I think to the board, I want you to hear my heart and commitment to keeping our kids safe. I take my job seriously. The law gives, when parents send their kids to me and to us, to Mr. Ramirez and Ms. Ross, they're our responsibility for the day. And during the middle of the day, for years and years, no one has known where they are or what they're doing. No accountability. And that's scary. So in loco parentis, in Latin, simply means in place of the parent. That's the charge we're given when kids come to our schools. And so for that reason, we've made the decision that we've made. I think time will prove this to be a great decision. And I think the kids already are seeing that no cell phones at school is a good thing. And the little blip on the radar last week with the food, Tiffany Hebert and her staff in school nutrition do an exceptional job of providing good meals for our kids. And the one day that they ran short on chicken nuggets,
so we're going to, as we know, multiple of our administrators, including Dr. Moran, have eaten lunch at Lakeview over the last week. So, but I'm going to say this again, and we want to hear our parents, okay? And I know that some of y'all sitting out there shaking your heads like you think I don't want to hear you, okay? And I get that sentiment. I understand that you're saying that. But I'm telling you, we have an Opens Means Act, and we have, in every decision we make, we're trying to make the right decision. And then the next one, we're going to try and make the right one too. And that doesn't mean that we'll always get it right, okay? It means that we're working to make the right decision with the information we have, and then we will look at it and go forward from there. And so, but what I'm going to tell you, everyone who's at this meeting, is we have to be able to have our meeting so that we can make those right decisions. And disrupting the meeting does not lead to any progress.
And so to conclude my comments, I feel obligated to say publicly how thankful I am for Tiffany Hebert, school nutrition, and the staff that did a great job of pivoting and making sure that Friday our kids were taken care of. The kids Thursday that hung around, the food was completed and they were able to eat. Some did not stay. But I say all that to say we're trying to establish an academic day from start to finish that provides kids with safety, with a great teacher in the classroom, and with an environment that can help them learn. We want every kid in this district to graduate and be ready to go when they graduate. We're doing them a disservice if we don't set that day up in that manner. So that's my 2 cents worth on the whole instructional day and academic program.
All right, any questions for Dr. Gomez? Kind of sidetracked there trying to answer some questions, but any questions for Dr. Gomez regarding the academic program?
I do.
So we're going to move forward with our bond
Dr.
construction update.
Dr. Kingman,
For Mr. Danheim.
I have a question, Dr. Kingman.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay.
Yeah,
No, you're okay. Ms. Gomez, Dr. Rand, can we get a list, please, of the number of students in each classroom, specifically the elementary schools? In each classroom, and I'd also like to see if there's an assistant for each teacher, specifically the elementary schools that are continuously underperforming, Bel Air, Reagan, Bradford. I'd like to see the student to teacher ratio as well as if there's an assistant.
We can absolutely do that. If you will, to help me, email me your question. I'll take that, we'll work an answer and get it back to the whole board. Glad to do that.
All right. Any other board questions? Next, we're going to have Mr. Danheim come up and give us a bond construction update.
Dr. Moran, Board of Trustees, good evening. Not a lot to report so far. I mean, we're still trying to get things going. We are going to take a tour later this week that Park Hill has set up. Our department heads and several of us will tour some schools in Lubbock. We're going to see a middle school, a high school, a CTE building, performing arts, so that's exciting. Be able to give our bunch an idea of, instead of just talking about things, they can see something. So I think that'll help. Crockett Elementary, we're still waiting on the city there for a building permit. So we're close. I mean, I know we've been saying that for 2 weeks now, but it's really close. I think it'll happen soon. So like I say, that's the only holdup there. Next week, we'll do a tour of Fannin. We're going to have the KFW architects with our team, and we'll do a walk there and start the design process of that school. It's already underway on phase 2 of McGill, so it's already quite a ways ahead, so we definitely need to get Fannin going. And really, that's really all I have, so unless y'all got some questions. So.
I have a quick question. I thought Park Hill already had a preliminary plan for Fannin.
Did they have phase 1?
Yeah, so they had a phase 1 and then like a box plan, not anything definitive. We never paid them for a plan for phase 2 or 3 because we did not know if the bond would pass.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank
you.
So
I believe KFW will have phase 2 now. So.
Okay. Good. Thank you.
So we should try to get it rolling next week.
Any other board questions?
Sir, did I hear you say you'd be touring Lubbock?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Why Lubbock? Is that the golden standard?
Well, that's where Park Hill's from, and they designed all them buildings. So they're taking us somewhere, to a project that they've done. So okay. I feel like I don't think that's the only one. I think we're actually going to see a school in Brownfield on the way back. Mm-hmm. So, but it's all Park Hill projects, yes, ma'am, stuff they've done.
And I'll just make a quick comment. There are a couple of other districts as well that we will visit this fall, Abilene, Seminole. So we're trying to hit, for instance, the CTE. We'll hit the latest constructions in this area, this region. Also theaters, like for instance, the Lakeview Mariachi, the band hall design, or the Lakeview CTE design, the Central Theater design. We'll try to take, so it won't be the same site for all of those, but when we go to a site, it'll be for a specific purpose, and then move to the next district.
Any other board questions? All right, thank you, Mr. Danheim.
Thank y'all.
All right, Dr. Brandon's back up to talk about our board meeting posting guidelines, and I probably should have put that in the agenda before we did the Finance and Audit Committee workshop. But
Well, and Dr. Kingman already made a note about this earlier, and I think September is probably a great example. We know that House Bill 1522 moved up the timeline for posting to the 3 business days rather than the 3 calendar days. So we find ourselves now doing the work earlier in the week and then posting that normally now on Tuesday evening. So if you take, for example, September 1 falls on a Monday, September 8th falls on the 8th. So therefore our second Monday, first board meeting is on September 8th. Well, with September 1st being a holiday, we won't get a lot of the documentation from the bank till the 2nd or the 3rd. Well, we're already past the posting deadline. So it's going to be very difficult to produce, for the staff to produce all the financial documents some months by that first pre-agenda meeting. So I think the request, just so that we can stay consistent, like tonight we're doing a June and then we're doing a July, right? Because that got backed up. So if we do that at the regular, just as I guess a request, for the boards would entertain that idea that we do the financial statements at our regular board meeting so that they always can be on the same meeting, so that we're not bouncing back and forth or trying to compare 2 budgets over in 1 month. So that's, any questions about 1522, House Bill 1522?
so any questions? So like this month we had our meeting early, so that's why we didn't have financials available for July on our first meeting because of the way it hit. So, and next month will be the same problem. So when I was making the agenda, I think trying to make it to where we did it the same way so our constituents know we're looking at the budget the same time every month and not moving it back and forth willy-nilly. We're just going to keep it to where we can know we can reproduce it at that meeting every time. And that way Mr. Dindal or whoever is serving as treasurer can do the Finance and Audit Committee workshop at that time. We can still do some of our reports that go with our Finance and Audit workshop. Typically, we'll keep those on the pre-agenda as far as getting that information so that we have that early. But as far as the actual bills, accounts, investment statements, those will go to our regular meeting.
So we won't be doing the finance committee thing? I mean,
so we will,
just the bills and
so the bills, accounts, and any of the financial statements will all be part of the regular meeting. If there are, so right now we sometimes put some reports in there. We may just put those on the regular agenda for our pre-agenda meeting. We may not have to put them in. We may not put them. We won't have them under the subset of an audit, a budget workshop.
Okay, all right.
All right. Any other questions or comments? All right. Dr. Brandon, you're up again. Bond construction payment update.
So just wanted to let the board know you do have copies of the 3 deposits for the bond, Lone Star, Investment Pool, Texas Class, and Texas Range. All of those varying right now around the low to mid 4.3%, 4.4%. The goal being that we make our first bond payment before September 1, and that payment was made on August 15th. And you can see from each one of those, the deposit from the bond, we spread those between the 3 accounts. And it was a little bit nerve-wracking waiting for that to happen. Anytime that somebody's going to wire just in a cell of a home is enough nerve-wracking. But when somebody's going to wire the district $397 million for a bond projects, until that all is safely in those accounts, everybody's a little bit on edge. And so they did, previous to the deposits, we sent wiring instructions, and then they sent small amounts, 26 cents or 79 cents, until we knew each one of those were going to land in the correct accounts, and then they made the main deposits. So just wanted you to see that. It is in there, safe and sound, and then we are underway, like Mr. Denheim said, with the projects around the district.
I said a quick question. This may be ignorant, but why 3 separate accounts instead of one?
We weren't exactly sure which ones, if they were going to take all of that into one account. And so we had that spread over 3 different ones. And then some of them, one pays daily interest on that account. And so anyway, it's in our board policy, it says that we will be diverse across investment opportunities. And so where we keep those in the most stable, we are asked to spread those. We've got about 7 or 8 different companies so that all the money isn't sitting in one place. So.
And just as a reminder, because I know you mentioned it when we did our budget a moment ago, but the reason it was so important to get this done on the 15th was that for this year alone, it's saving the local taxpayer $3.4 million. Is that right?
Yeah, it's about half of that. So it's the homestead exemption goes all the way back about 6 years as it's moved from 40,000 to 100. So about 1.5 million of that is for the previous years, and about 1.7 million is specifically for the move from 100,000 to 140. But you're exactly right. Over the life of the bond, by making the first bond payment before September 1, then it will save the taxpayers $80 million in interest over the life of the bond.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Brandon. Any questions regarding the payment for Dr. Brandon? All right. So next, we're going to go into our action items, and first we have our consent items. We have consent items A through I. We have our donations, our minutes from our July 14th and July 21st meetings, our T-Test certified appraisal list, bid 20-010, which is HVAC filters and installation service, bid 20-009, which is our maintenance, transportation, and miscellaneous supplies, F, which is House Bill 3372, which is a restriction on outside employment by administrators, G, which is the proposed amendment for the district official budget, the Child Nutrition Fund, H, which is the proposed amendment for the district official budget general fund, and I, which is the proposed amendment for the district official budget debt service fund. Does anyone have any questions regarding consent items A through I, or anything that wants to be pulled or discussed further? Do I have a motion to approve consent items A through I?
I'll make a motion to approve consent items A through I.
Second. I have a motion from Dr. Mills and a second from Mrs. Mizell Flint. Any further board comments or questions? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All against, say the same. Motion passes 7-0. Next, we have action items. We have our bills, accounts, and financial statements from June 2025. So that's the financial statements we discussed at our pre-agenda, just so we're all on the same page. Any board questions or comments regarding our financial statements from June of 2025?
Dr. Kingman, as you mentioned earlier, that those reports were reviewed last week or so ago in a pre-agenda meeting in order to expedite that process. And now, again, that next line item will be another motion, but that will catch us up and start us on a regular board schedule. So with that, I'd like to move to approve the June 2025 financial statements and item B, the July 2025 statements as we move forward. And as just a note to the general public that all those reports can be found online at our website, SISD.org, under financial transparency.
So I have we're gonna vote on them separately since they're listed as separate action items, but we have a motion from Mr. Dindal on the bills, accounts, and financial statements of June 2025. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Mr. Gallegos. Do we have any other board questions or comments? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All against, say the same. So next, I have a motion from Mr. Dindal regarding the bills, accounts, and financial statements for July of 2025. Do I have a second?
Second.
Again, I have a second from Mr. Gallegos. Do I have any questions or comments regarding the July 2025 statement? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All against, say the same. Motion passes 7-0. Next, we're going to have RFQ 25-014, Design Build Services, Electrical Upgrades, HVAC, and HVAC Controls, and Mr. Henry is going to help us with that.
Thank you for having me here tonight. Tonight I bring forth requests for qualifications 25-017, Design Build Services, 2025 Electrical Upgrades, HVAC, and HVAC Controls. Part of the 2025 bond plan was to replace HVAC controls, HVAC, and replace Federal Pacific panels throughout the district. This RFQ will establish a design build firm capable of designing and implementing all aspects of these projects. Design build requirements are outlined in Texas Government Code 2269, Subchapter G. This is a two-step process. First, we review qualifications, and then the firm that demonstrates experience, technical competency, and capacity to perform will negotiate a project development agreement and develop the projects. In phase 2, the respondents will provide a turnkey price for engineering, design, construction management services to complete the agreed upon projects. Pricing will be presented to the board no later than the January 2026 meeting. An RFQ was advertised for companies capable of this type of work. 6 proposals were received. The scoring committee met and reviewed all proposals, and E3 Integral Solutions received the highest score. The administration recommends entering negotiations with E3 to replace HVAC controls, HVAC, and replace Federal Pacific panels throughout the district, resulting in a full turnkey price for these projects. Do y'all have any questions over this?
So, Mr. Gallegos.
We got 3 panels that we're going to replace. Is that what it says? 3?
They're on the recap
4.
there at the bottom.
Yeah.
These are we have, it looks like 4 panels in this project that would be replaced. There are more than that would be taken care of in other projects where we're having major projects done on those campuses.
And just to let people know, those things don't come easy. They're hard to get. So
absolutely.
I call them breaker boxes. So,
right.
But that's what they are. So okay, thank you.
Mr. Henry, I know this is an RFQ to develop a turnkey price for these projects. I know we've previously done work with E3, and they've done good jobs coming in under budget and doing projects for us. But if we get to January and we are unable to negotiate a turnkey price that the district is satisfied with, what is there anything that's requiring us to work with E3 in that regard?
Absolutely not. Once we get to the end and we negotiate our price and they come up with the project and the price, if we are not happy with that, then we can throw their pricing out and go to the next bidder.
Any other?
I have a question. Where can they find contractors? Where are you advertising for contractors to submit their bids?
All bids are advertised in the Standard Times. We're required to advertise twice in consecutive weeks. So if I advertise this Wednesday, then I would advertise next Wednesday and then open it after that. We also post this on our website under bid opportunities on the purchasing page. And then that page is actually picked up by planning rooms that architects and engineers are members of. They have data mining programs that pick those up, and then they post those on there. A big example would be Construct Connect, where they have jobs from all over the country on there.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Do I have a motion to approve RFQ 25-014?
Make a motion to approve the recommendation to enter negotiations with E3 to replace HVAC controls, HVAC, and replace Federal Pacific panels throughout the district, resulting in a full turnkey price for these projects.
So I have a motion from Mr. Gallegos. Do I have a second?
Second.
A second from Mr. Dindal. Any further board questions or comments? All in favor say aye. Aye. All against say the same. Motion passes 7-0. Next, Mr. Henry's going to help us with 25-014 San Angelo Stadium parking lot lights.
San Angelo Stadium currently only has parking lot lights located near the field house. By increasing the number of lights, we will increase safety and security in the parking lot at night. Plans and specifications were prepared for an additional 6 poles to light both sides of the stadium parking lot. Bids were opened and 2 contractors submitted quality turnkey bids for this work. These bids were reviewed and scored, and Jet Electric of San Angelo had the lowest price and received the highest score. The administration recommends awarding to Jet Electric of San Angelo. Total cost of this project is $441,500, which includes a $20,000 contingency. Do you have any questions?
Have we used Jet Electric before?
We have used Jet Electric before. They're a pretty big electrical contractor here in town. We have a pretty long history with them.
Thank you.
Mr. Henry, these lights, they're going to go on the west side?
They're going to go on
both. They're
both.
going to go all the way around the...
They'll go on both sides of the parking lot at the bottom of the hill, just inside of the fence, and point out to the parking area.
Parking area?
Correct.
Just to let the public know that I know that kids walk from Johnson Street across that parking lot. And when I was working in that building on Johnson Street several years back, I remember sitting on that 5th floor and it would be dark out there and you see just people flying across that. And we had no lights. And I just would sit there going, God, please don't let them run away. I saw 2 kids almost get run over there. So that's a safety concern, and it's being answered, it's being taken care of. And we're going to put the rest of them on this side as well, you said?
It's going to be on both sides of the stadium at the bottom of the hill, just inside of the fence.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions regarding the San Angelo Stadium parking lot lights? All right. Do I have a motion for RFQ 25-014?
I'll make a motion to award Jet Electric of San Angelo for a total cost of project of $441,500, which includes a $20,000 contingency.
I have a motion from Dr. Mills. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Ladies first. I'm going to give a second to Mrs. Mizell Flint. And any other board comments or questions? All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes 7-0. Next, we're going to consider possible action to amend the district's current warehouse lease agreement with CBWD Properties. I'm going to ask Mr. Dindal to recuse himself for this one. And Dr. Brandon, you're going to lead us in this one?
Good evening again. Mainly, this is just an update to the current lease agreement. We had set that up on 6-month intervals because we weren't exactly sure how long we would be in the space. But with the passage of the bond, we've had to move and store various items. We received, I don't know how many pallets of curriculum that were stored there before we boxed and shipped those back out to all of the campuses. So this is simply an extension to go from the 6-month intervals to the 5-year lease.
Okay. Which can be terminated at any time.
Yes, with 30-day notice, either party could terminate the lease.
Okay. Yeah. Right. Does anyone have any questions regarding the amendment to move for a 5-year lease? Do I have a motion to approve the current lease? I'll make a motion to amend the current lease with CBWD Properties LLC for commercial warehouse space located at 403 West 26th Street as presented and delegate authority of administration to terminate the lease in the best interest of the district. A motion for myself and a second from Mr. Gallegos. Any further board comments or questions?
Just a quick question. Is there any, do you think there's any timeline that we might be able to not have to utilize them?
As we proceed through the bond projects, our hope, it's not that we want to stay in there long term. So as we progress through the bond projects, hopefully we can open up a space that we already have that's no cost to the district.
Excellent, thank you.
Any further board questions or comments? All in favor say aye. Aye. All against say the same. Motion passes 6-0. What do you get, Bill? All right, well, we're going to have Dr. Gomez, if you will come up and give us, we're going to talk about Senate Bill 13 and library materials.
I know we've been discussing Senate Bill 13 since June, but tonight we're preparing to officially adopt the district's version of the policy. So specifically, as we've discussed previously, the policy emphasizes transparency, parent involvement, and appropriate access for students while safeguarding against harmful or inappropriate materials. So I'm just going to highlight, due to our previous conversations, the main components within this policy. The first being board approval, meaning the board must approve all library materials, including those purchased or donated. I really want to stress the donated portion, because if we have groups come and donate materials, it will now require your approval before we can or cannot place them in the library circulations. And there is a very specific timeline for that. They must first be made public for at least 30 days. Parent access is super important in this bill, so I want to stress parents are the primary decision makers regarding their children's access to library materials. In the pre-agenda, we demonstrated where you could find this information on our SAISD website. But I just want to remind everyone, for those in the audience or those listening, so under the SAISD website, the Students and Parent tab, there's a Library Services section. You click on the Library Services section, and then on the left-hand side, there's a link for parent access. That's where parents would go to receive the additional details. And also, it's very important to note, with parents being those primary decision makers, means maybe someone in the public doesn't want the book read, but ultimately it comes down to that parent. Parents can submit lists of books their own child is not allowed to check out, and then our librarians can note that in our circulation software. And then we've discussed this previously. It's in the policy specifically. We have been ahead of this in our district for several years now, for student safety being a top concern, but there are both formal and informal procedures. We always first, for the informal, if a parent comes to the campus or the librarian and says, I don't want my child to read this, that's just the informal. We note it, and They don't check out the library book. If it is a formal challenge, then there is a process, and we do have what's referred to as the San Angelo ISD Reading Content Selection Committee, which meets the terms of the policy by being made up of educators that work within the grade spans, district staff, community members, and parents are a part of that committee. And then, of course, we would make the superintendent and the board aware of any challenges. So I know this is one of the very lengthy policies because it's 7 pages, but through our prior discussions, are there any further questions you have at this time?
Hi, so I have a couple of questions. Okay. So the first one is in regards to a challenge. So the Reading Content Selection Committee hears the formal challenges, and then they would come to the board with their recommendation? Is that how that works?
The committee would not come in person, but the committee's recommendation would come to the superintendent and the board.
Okay. And then I keep going back to the actual purchase and donation of all the library books. I just think of, I'm assuming it's dozens and dozens of books at a time. And I want to voice publicly, but also ask about what the concern should be for the board if something gets past us, since I don't think that any of us we're all volunteers, board members are volunteers, and we don't have the time to read through dozens and dozens of books that are ordered for every school. So how does that, how do we know that these books are acceptable to the schools and to the community?
That is a great question, and you are right. I also want to publicly thank Ms. Hogue, who came to the pre-agenda and is also here again this evening as our district lead librarian. And she's told me, and I have to apologize to Ms. Hogue, that I don't remember that large number of orders that was just placed last year alone. So when she says 90, that's not 90 copies. So that's 90 orders of multiple titles. So librarians do require a specific certification to be in their job role. They have specific training on how to verify a book's appropriateness. Now, librarians, too, cannot read every single book. We have in our district removed books. It's important to note that when someone might give you an excerpt, a small portion of a book, we cannot make a judgment on a small portion of the book, and we are required through any challenge to read the book in its entirety. So I just want to note that. But librarians do have training. Plus, there are more and more, this changed a little bit from the original version of the bill, vendors having to also disclose whether or not a book is appropriate. So we are humans. We will not ever say that we are perfect because that would be a false statement. But they have specialized training. So it's important to note for the public, there are specific teacher certifications, there are specific counselor certifications, and librarian certifications. You cannot be a certified librarian without the specific master's degree and certifications that come with it, as a big portion of their study is book selection and criteria for the ages they work with. So going back to your question about we're going to first let our people that have the training do the book selection. We're going to give the books at least 30 days in advance. So if there are any concerns from the board, we can go back, address the concerns, and then the board will have informed decision-making on whether or not we order the book or we do not order the book. Does that answer your question?
Kind of. Does the community get to know 30 days in advance?
It has to be posted.
Okay, so the community can also come to us and tell us if there are concerns about books that are ordered too. So it's not up to us to read every single book to make sure that they're acceptable.
I just think it's important to note that while a community member might have a concern, the primary decision maker is the parent.
Absolutely. And also, I didn't realize that Ms. Hogue was here, but thank you, Ms. Hogue, for all that you've done to keep our books, our libraries safe for our kids.
And the reason why I point out it's important for the parent, because one community member might have values for their household or for their religious, ethnic beliefs and affiliations that another does not. And so we are required as educators to provide diverse readings.
Yes, ma'am. And that was really the reason for my question of the concerns that the board needs to be considering.
Absolutely.
So, thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am.
I'd just like to publicly say, we appreciate all the work you've made for the selection committee over the last several years. I know we've been ahead of this, and so we're very prepared for this, but I just want to clarify. So the main difference is with SB 13 is we will now ultimately be responsible for new library material, and we take recommendations from the committee and librarians, but ultimately it's going to fall
Absolutely.
on our
That will be the biggest change. It also is a great change for our purchasing procedures in the district, because as you can imagine, for us to get recommendations with the minimum of 30 days, that's going to impact our timeline. We also have inter-district policies on purchasing, receiving, all the things. So we have very specific dates now to adhere to the notice that the board needs, and also our inter-district purchasing procedures.
Are we going to be provided this may be a silly question, are we going to be provided digital copies of the books or physical copies or
Of the list, you mean?
of the actual book too?
Well, we won't, if we're purchasing, we won't necessarily have the book.
Okay.
So we're not always able to provide the book until we actually make the purchase.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
So every school has a librarian. Okay. We have some large schools. Do librarians have an assistant?
Some do. For example, Central High School does.
Okay. So with that said, we are allowing students to check out books and be aides in that to help the librarian.
For the secondary campuses, yes, ma'am.
Yeah. I just say that because I think it's important to look at the whole picture of education, and that the state continues to pass bills that put more, I won't say work, but more work on our teachers, our librarians. And so with that, I want to just stress to everyone that they need support, they need grace, and they need time to do all of these things because they're new, and the state just keeps, I'm not saying it's a wrong, but they keep passing things that just add another thing and add another thing. So if librarians are listening or out there and they need help, please reach out and know that we support you and that we know that you're adding this to your plate, and it's taking, and for y'all too, a lot of time, Ms. Hogue. So thank you, and I know that you speak to the other campuses and let them know that we see that this is a big thing to undertake.
I also want to clarify, Ms. Duncan, that there are staffing recommendations from TASB, and Central Student Enrollment meets having the additional staff member. Our second largest campus, Glenn, does not have one either. So it's not just a Central High School thing. It's based on the staffing ratio from TASB.
That goes back to the law, the
Yes, ma'am.
staffing. It's not because, lots of things that we the SAISD, that we do, and I was a teacher for many years, and there were days that I was like, why are we doing that? There are laws, and the staffing, the number, the student to ratio, it's a directive of what we do. It's not, we would love to, I would love to put 3 librarians at every school and promote reading and be there to help children, but it's just not possible.
Dr. Gomez, I know you, just a logistics question, because I know you talked about interdepartmental agreements and making sure. So historically, we would see books in our POs really every month. So and obviously some of this bill comes from a a concern from parents that has obviously reached the state legislature. Will we make sure that we are doing this in a way that is reproducible every year? Like, as far as, like, will we order our books every October so that every time we can, so our parents know when to look at these things, so the board's not getting them every meeting, like in this little bit here, a little bit there, but are we working to I know you mentioned streamlining,
yes.
but we're going to try and make that as condensed so that parents aren't having to look every 3 weeks to see what books SISD is ordering, to try and figure out if they're happy or not happy or want to challenge that thing.
Yes, we are now, because it's the first time with this requirement. We have a proposed timeline, but we would be, it would be unwise to stick to the timeline we've done this year if we go through it and realize from it being the first year we go through it, we need to make adjustments. So I don't want to stand in front of you and say definitely every October we would do. We have a plan here and we will make adjustments as we work through it the first year, but the streamlining is so that there's set times of the year so that board and community have access, and also, so most importantly, if we delay this so long, the whole intention is to get books for our kids in the libraries. So if we delay it so long and they can't be received, then we're defeating that purpose.
Absolutely. All right. Any further questions about EFB local? Do I have a motion to approve EFB local as presented?
I'll make a motion to approve EFB local as presented.
Do I have a second? I have a motion from Dr. Mills and a second from Mrs. Duncan. Any further board questions or comments?
This list here that Ms. Martin provided for us, these are all books that have been approved through SASD previously?
I haven't seen the list, so I can't speak
Okay.
to that, but I'd be happy to review that. It's also important to note that if an individual goes to the prior circulation, this we have had and we've shared, you may have noted the comment that we've removed several books, which we have through the Reading Content Selection Committee, but sometimes individuals will go to the circulation list and say, y'all have this book, and the book is not in circulation. So, but I'd be happy to follow up on that. I just haven't seen it.
Okay. And just to clarify, according to the law and the student ratio, as far as San Angelo goes, you're saying that Central High School is the only school that needs an assistant in the library?
For the library specifically. Yes, there are different ratios depending on parts of the classroom and the campus, the instructional setting. While the library is not a classroom, it's an instructional program. So.
All right. Do I have any other further board questions or comments? All in favor say aye. Aye. All against say the same. Motion passes 7-0. All right, next, Dr. Brandon, we are going to talk about fund balances.
Good evening. As part of the budget cycle each year, campus principals, department heads, program directors can submit capital outlay requests. And so we have committed fund balance that we can place these items in. The majority of all these come back to the board for final approval. All we're saying is that we're going to commit an amount of fund balance towards projects. And so I'll kind of run through here quickly. Athletics. Would be a high jump pit, accessories at the stadium, non-skid flooring for the training room, weight equipment, new weight equipment at Lakeview, backstop netting at the sports complex. Vehicles, each year we try to rotate vehicles a certain amount. You see here one warehouse, 2 pickups at maintenance, 1 expedition at transportation, and then our technology. We don't replace those very often, but we've got a couple of those that are high mileage technology. They drive all around the district to fix problems. Playgrounds and shade structures, 3 elementary playgrounds, and then 2 shade structures, 1 at Lakeview and 1 at Central. Fine arts equipment, band, orchestra, percussion, and mariachi. Technology, equipment, and devices, so student and teacher devices along with protective cases for the students. Interactive panels for the classrooms and an upgrade to the network. Capital towards equipment used by our maintenance and facility staff, the hydro excavator, a couple of mower replacements, a welder, key cutter, a lift, and then a floor stripper and scrubber. And then we're really close on our buses to complete being back within the 15-year cycle. We have just over 90 buses in the fleet. And so as we cycle through 15 years, those are usually 100 to 150,000 miles. That replacement cycle, you received a copy of that. And so the 6 yellow school bus, 72 passenger, 3 of the 48 yellow passengers, 1 Bluebird, which is the student travel bus. And that would, if you saw a copy of that on the 5-year replacement cycle, that would put us back. We had a couple of years there right after COVID that we didn't replace any, and so we're kind of right there back on track with bus replacement. And all of those amounts, so basically the board is just committing those amounts from fund balance and that those stay there until we actually make the purchase or remove those from the list. But all of these items come back to the board for final approval to meet our purchasing guidelines.
And just for the board, that if you look at your, just as a reminder for our fund balance, the recommendations from the state are to keep basically a 3-month district reserve, okay, which is for our district just over $31 million. And so what we're looking at is designating overall approximately $5.6 million of our unassigned fund balance that's above the $32 million that we need to keep to make sure that we have 3-month reserve. Any questions or comments? Do I have a motion?
Dr. King, move to approve the designation of fund balances and resolution as presented.
Second.
So I have a motion from Mr. Dindal and a second from Mr. Gallegos. Any further board comments or questions? And just for our public, this list comes from the request of our campuses for what they need as far as fine arts equipments or athletic equipments that's coming from each department on the campus being brought up to the admin and then going back, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other board comments or questions?
And we still approve stuff as it comes forward, is that correct?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whenever we get ready to order the buses, then we'll bring that back to the board. And so we'll follow the purchasing guidelines through all of those, whether that's 3 quotes or whether they're on a approved vendor list or whether they're on by board.
But we don't have to move it later down the road from general fund balance.
Right. We've already committed it for that purpose.
Thank you.
All right, so I had a motion from Mr. Dindal and a second from Mr. Gallegos. Do I have any other board questions or comments? All in favor say aye. All against say the same. Motion passes 7-0. Next, we're going to consider adoption of the 25-26 budget.
So
Dr.
the next
Brandon
2
Singer.
items are a follow-up from our public presentation of the budget and tax rate. The first of those being adoption of the official budget by fund and function for general fund, child nutrition, and debt service. We went through each of those, the general fund having a balanced budget, both for the general fund and for debt service. And you see a slight increase in expenditures where child nutrition would be a negative $327,000, knowing that they have that in their fund balance to take care of, knowing also that they are usually issued additional grants throughout the year that often cover that amount.
So obviously this has been talked about at our pre-agenda and then earlier this evening. Any board questions or comments regarding our adoption of our school budget for either our official general fund or child nutrition or our debt service? All right. Do I have a motion to approve the resolution in order to adopt the 25-26 maintenance and operation, food service, and debt service budgets by fund and function as discussed and presented?
Dr. Kimman moved to adopt the order to adopt the 2025-2026 maintenance and operation, food service, and debt service budgets by fund and function as discussed and presented.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Do I have any other board questions or comments?
Dr. Kingman, as we move forward again, that puts us in a position to present to the public a balanced budget for one more year, where several districts in the state are now operating off deficit budgets. So we're truly blessed to be able to operate with the funds that are actually provided to us from the state and the local entities.
Any other board questions or comments? All in favor say aye. Aye. All against say the same. Motion passes 7-0. Next, we're going to adopt the 25-26 or discuss adopting the 25-26 M&O tax rate and the INS tax rate. And this is, again, what we discussed earlier this evening. Any board questions or comments from Dr. Brandon? Do I have a motion to adopt the 25-26 M&O and INS tax rates?
I'll make a motion to adopt the 25-26 M&O and INS tax rates.
So, and just for public, that will be a total tax rate of 1.0706. The rate allocated is as follows: 0.7122 of the total tax rate is specifically levied for the maintenance and operation expenses, and 0.3584 of the total rate is specifically levied for the debt service. So I have a motion from Mr. Gallegos. Do I have a second?
A second.
I have a second from Mr. Dindal. Any further board comments or questions regarding the M&O or INS tax rate for 25-26?
Dr. Brandon, you mentioned the $100,000 exemption, and that's going to be voted on by the public in November, where they can go ahead and get an exemption up to $100,000 if you're a senior, an additional, is it 100? It'll be 140 for seniors.
Yes, sir.
So
it goes, currently $100,000 homestead exemption will increase to $140,000, and then up to $200,000 for 65 and older.
Okay, so 65 and older, and everyone here that owns a home in November, that's got to be voted in by people, not by the state. They would probably say no, but so y'all get to say yes to that. So just a reminder.
Any other board questions or comments? All right, I had a motion from Mr. Gallegos and a second from Mr. Dindal. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All against, say the same. Motion passes 7-0. Next, Dr. Moran's going to help us with the local policy update, AE Local, which is just kind of cleaning up some.
Yeah, this may be the easiest vote of the night. It's actually just an update to the mission statement in policy, because our existing policy reflected the old mission statement. So to clean it up, we have the new one in front of you for tonight to adopt.
Any questions or comments? This is just making sure all our paperwork lines up, T's are crossed, I's are dotted. Do I have a motion to approve local policy update AE.
I'll make a motion to adopt the policy AE local to reflect the current mission, vision, goals, core beliefs, and commitments.
I'll second.
So I have a motion from Dr. Mills and a second from Mrs. Mizell Flint. Any further board questions or comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All against say the same. Motion passes 7-0. All right. Now we're going to need to go into executive session. We're going to have several things to discuss. We're going to do 551.071. We also have, and that is discussion with consultation with attorneys. And then we have 551.072, which is real property. And then we have 551.074, which is personnel matters. And 551.082, I'll write all these down for you, which is school children matters. Any questions? All right, so we'll be back after that. All right, we are back from executive session. We took no action, made no votes. We're going to move forward with our agenda. Next item on our agenda is consider adoption of resolution approving contingent fee legal services contract, including findings needed for submission of contingent fee legal services agreement and request for expedited review by the Texas Attorney General. And Dr. Moran.
Just a brief comment to the board that you're fully aware of, but this is an action by the district to make a statement against social media companies for the algorithms they use to target children. And so this is no cost to the district. It's a multi-district litigation, which would be like a class action lawsuit, but it would give us a voice in fighting against social media giants.
All right, do I have a motion to adopt the resolution approving contingent fee legal services contract? It's on page 141. I'll make a
motion. It's on page what?
So Mr. Gallegos is making a motion, 141, to approve the adoption of a resolution approving contingent fee legal services contract. Do I have a second? I have a second from Mrs. Duncan. Any board questions or comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0. So we also have to adopt the contingent fee legal services contract.
Okay, I'll make a motion to consider adoption of contingent fee legal services agreement with Thompson and Horton.
Island and Bonin and O'Hanlon, Demirth, and Castillo.
I'm not about to read all those, but
Yeah.
the
Okay.
main one's Thompson and Horton.
All right. So we have a motion from Mr. Gallegos. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second from Mrs. Mizell Flint. Any board questions or comments?
No.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, motion passes 7-0. Announcements, we have a pre-agenda board workshop on September 8th, 2025. I guess we should stop calling that a finance/pre-agenda board workshop.
Oh, yeah.
And then we'll have a regular board meeting on September 18th. And with that, we are adjourned.